Shivering shadows. The frost bit into my knuckles as I gripped the steering wheel, the car's heater sputtering uselessly against the February chill. I'd been away for 3 days, a work conference in Chicago, but the sight of my own house, its windows glowing like embers in the dusk, felt wrong. My elderly parents stood on the front lawn, their thin coats flapping in the wind, faces pale and pinched with cold. My mother's arms were crossed tight, her lips trembling, while my father leaned on his cane, staring at the ground like he'd lost something irreplaceable. Inside, music thumped, laughter spilled out, and silhouettes danced behind the curtains. My in-laws' SUV was parked in the driveway, but my wife's car was nowhere in sight. My stomach twisted, a knot of dread tightening as I stepped out into the icy air. Mom. Dad. My voice cracked, barely audible over the pulsing bass from the house. What's going on? Why are you out here? My mother's eyes, red-rimmed and glassy, met mine. She told us to wait, she whispered, her voice brittle as the frost underfoot. Said it wasn't a good time. She? I asked, though I already knew. My wife, Elise. The woman I'd loved for 12 years, whose laugh could still make my chest ache with warmth. But now, that warmth felt like a distant memory, replaced by a creeping unease. My father coughed, a dry rattle. We came to surprise you, he said, avoiding my gaze. Elise said you were home. But, she didn't let us in. I pushed past them, my boots crunching on the frozen grass, and fumbled with my keys at the front door. The lock turned too easily, as if it had been oiled recently. The door swung open, and the heat of the house hit me like a slap, along with the smell of wine, perfume, and something sharper, like cigarette smoke. My in-laws, Carol and Jim, stood in the living room, glasses in hand, surrounded by a dozen strangers. A man I didn't recognize lounged on my couch, his arm draped over the cushion where Elise usually curled up with her novels. The music was louder now, some pulsing electronic track that made my temples throb. Mark. Carol's voice was too bright, her smile too wide. You're back early. Where's Elise? I asked, my throat tight. The room felt like it was tilting, the laughter and clinking glasses suddenly distant. Jim glanced at Carol, then back at me. She's upstairs, I think. Getting something. I didn't wait for more. My feet carried me to the stairs, each step heavier than the last. The hallway was dim, the air thick with the scent of jasmine, her perfume. A memory flickered, Elise spraying it on her wrists before our anniversary dinner last month, her eyes soft as she promised forever. I shoved the thought away. The bedroom door was ajar, a sliver of light spilling onto the carpet. My hand trembled as I pushed it open. Elise stood by the bed, her back to me, her auburn hair loose over her shoulders. She was slipping a sweater over her head, the fabric catching on her earrings. Another figure, a man, tall, with dark hair and a tailored jacket, stood too close, his hand brushing her arm. They hadn't heard me. My heart pounded, a dull roar in my ears. Elise, I said, my voice low, barely controlled. She spun around, her eyes wide, lips parting in a gasp. Mark. You're home. Her voice was too high, too quick. The man stepped back, his face unreadable, but his posture screamed guilt. Who's this? I asked, my gaze locked on her. I didn't trust myself to look at him. This is David, she stammered. He's a colleague. From the gallery. We were just discussing a project. In our bedroom. My words were sharp, cutting through the lie. The air felt heavy, like it was pressing down on my chest. I noticed the bed, our bed, unmade, the sheets tangled. A wine glass sat on the nightstand, lipstick smudged on the rim. Not her shade. David cleared his throat. I should go. He moved toward the door, but I stepped in front of him. No, I said, my voice shaking. Explain. Now. Elise's hands twisted together, her knuckles white. Mark, it's not what you think. We were just talking. The party got loud, so we came up here for quiet. Quiet, I echoed, the word bitter on my tongue. While my parents are freezing outside. You left them out there, Elise. For this. Her face crumpled, tears welling in her eyes. I didn't mean to, I was going to let them in, I just got distracted. Distracted, I repeated, my voice hollow. I turned to David, who was staring at the floor. Get out. He didn't argue. His footsteps faded down the stairs, and the party noise surged briefly as he slipped out. Elise reached for my arm, but I pulled away, the touch burning like betrayal. Mark, please, she whispered. It's not what you think. I swear. Then what is it? I demanded, my voice rising. Because it looks like you've been lying to me. Like you've been sneaking around with him. How long, Elise? She shook her head, tears spilling now. There's nothing to tell. I got too close, maybe. I was lonely, Mark. You're always gone, and Don't, I cut her off, my chest aching. Don't blame me for this. But doubt crept in, insidious and cold. Had I been gone too much? The late nights at work, the weekends buried in emails, had I pushed her away? I thought of the text she'd stopped sending, the way her smiles had felt forced lately. Small signs I'd brushed off, rationalized as stress. Now they screamed at me, each one a shard of broken trust. I love you, she said, her voice breaking. I made a mistake. I let it get too far, but we didn't. Didn't what? I pressed, stepping closer. Say it. She flinched, her gaze dropping. We didn't sleep together. But I wanted to. I thought about it. The confession hit like a punch, stealing my breath. Not the act itself, but the desire, the choice to entertain it. I stumbled back, the room spinning. Downstairs, the party continued, oblivious, the laughter mocking me. My parents' faces flashed in my mind, their shivering forms abandoned while Elise chased a fleeting thrill. I need air, I muttered, turning away. She called after me, but I didn't stop. The cold outside was a relief, sharp and grounding. My parents were still there, now sitting in my car with the engine running. My mother's eyes met mine through the window, full of unspoken questions. Mark, she said softly as I approached. Is everything okay? I shook my head, unable to speak. The truth was a weight I couldn't carry yet. I climbed into the driver's seat, my father's hand resting briefly on my shoulder. As I pulled out of the driveway, the house's glow faded behind us, but one image burned in my mind, Elise's tear-streaked face and the lipstick-stained glass that wasn't hers. In the silence, a new realization hit, cold and final. The party wasn't the betrayal. The real betrayal was the moment she stopped choosing us. And as the road stretched into the dark, I wondered if I'd ever find my way back to the man who believed in forever.